Most of the stress you feel around other people is not really about other people. It is about the pressure to be seen a certain way, to sound right, to look successful, and to avoid looking awkward, weak, or out of place. Once that pressure enters your mind, it starts running your life. You hesitate before speaking. You edit yourself before you even know what you think. You make choices based on how they will look, not on whether they are right. Epictetus saw this clearly almost 2,000 years ago. He believed that freedom begins when you stop handing your mind over to the crowd. Not when you become rude, not when you stop caring about people entirely, but when you stop making other people's opinions the final authority over your life. That is the real path to becoming harder to shame, harder to pressure, and much harder to control. The first habit is to separate what is yours from what is not. Most people react to judgment as if it is a verdict on their value. Someone looks at them strangely and the whole day is ruined. Someone criticizes them and they start questioning everything. Epictetus would say you are confusing your own mind with someone else's opinion. Their reaction is not your character. Their approval is not your worth. Their misunderstanding is not your identity. This is the Stoic distinction at the center of his philosophy. Some things are under your control and some are not. Other people's opinions are not fully yours to control. What is yours is how you respond, what you choose, and what standards you live by. Stop treating every external reaction like a personal emergency. If someone dislikes your decision, you do not need to collapse. If someone misunderstands your silence, you do not need to rush to prove yourself. The second habit is to care more about character than image. A lot of modern insecurity comes from living inside performance. You wonder if you looked smart enough, interesting enough, attractive enough, successful enough. You're always checking the mirror, not just physically, but socially. How did that message sound? Did that post get enough response? Did I come off as awkward in that meeting? Epictetus thought this was a trap. He believed the real measure of a person is not how they are perceived, but how they behave when perception is out of their hands. Image is fragile. Character is stable. Image depends on attention. Character depends on principle. You become less sensitive to judgment when you have a standard deeper than popularity. If your standard is approval, you will always be unstable. If your standard is honesty, fairness, and discipline, then you are building something no crowd can easily take away. The third habit is to expect misunderstanding. A lot of pain comes from the unconscious belief that if you explain yourself well enough, people will finally get you. But they often will not. Not because you failed, but because people see through their own fears, assumptions, and biases. Epictetus did not teach you to stop speaking clearly. He taught you not to demand that others interpret you perfectly. That demand creates endless frustration. Not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected, and not every criticism deserves a defense. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is remain steady while being misread. This is especially useful online, at work, and in family life. If you try to correct every false impression, you will drain your energy and lose your center. Speak clearly once. Act consistently. Let time reveal your character. The fourth habit is to practice voluntary discomfort. Epictetus believed that if you train yourself to tolerate discomfort, you become less fragile when life or other people disapprove of you. One reason people care too much what others think is that they are afraid of social pain. Rejection feels dangerous. Embarrassment feels dangerous. Looking foolish feels dangerous. So they avoid risk, soften every opinion, and shapeshift to stay safe. Stoicism says that if you deliberately practice a little inconvenience, criticism, or awkwardness, you reduce the power of those fears. Not to become dramatic or self-punishing, but to teach your nervous system that discomfort is survivable. Say no without over-explaining. Wear the simpler thing. Ask the question you're afraid is obvious. Leave room for silence in a conversation. Do something small that makes you mildly uncomfortable, and notice that nothing breaks. The fifth habit is to choose your audience carefully. Not every opinion deserves equal weight. Modern life pretends otherwise. With enough voices around you, it starts to feel like everyone's judgment should matter the same. But that is not wisdom. That is noise. Epictetus would not tell you to ignore everyone. He would tell you to ask whether a person is qualified, grounded, and genuinely concerned with your good. A random critic, a jealous coworker, or an angry stranger does not deserve the same authority as someone wise and trustworthy. Become selective about whose standards shape your life. Some people are reactive, some are projecting, some are simply confused. If you let all of them into your inner council, you will never make a clear decision. You do not need universal approval. You need a small number of trustworthy people and a strong internal standard. This is what Epictetus really meant. He was not teaching cold indifference. He was teaching inner independence. He understood that people can only shame you if you hand them the power to define you. They can only pressure you if you have no stable center. They can only manipulate you if your self-respect depends on their reaction. When you stop living for approval, something important happens. You become calmer, you speak more honestly, you choose more carefully, and you stop wasting so much life trying to be acceptable to people who are too distracted to truly know you. Other people may observe your life, but they do not get to own it. Their opinions can inform you, but they should not command you. That is the Stoic path to real freedom. Not becoming careless, becoming unshaken. The more you practice this, the less emotional power other people have over you. You stop turning every glance into a verdict. You stop living as if your worth must be constantly defended. That kind of inner safety changes your posture, your tone, your decisions, and your patience. It gives you room to think clearly instead of performing fear. If you stay the same, you keep renting your peace from the crowd. You keep adjusting yourself to avoid temporary discomfort, and in the process, you slowly lose contact with your own judgment. The cost is subtle at first, then severe. Hesitation, resentment, dependence, and a life shaped by approval instead of conviction. A person who cannot bear disapproval is easy to move. But a person with a steady center cannot be ruled so easily. That is why these habits matter. They do not make you arrogant. They make you free. They do not make you cold. They make you clear. And they do not teach you to stop caring about people. They teach you to care without surrendering your mind. So remember this. Other people may observe your life, but they do not get to own it. Their opinions can inform you, but they should not command you. This is the Stoic path to real freedom. Not becoming careless, becoming unshaken,